Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so glad to be here with all of you. Please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notifications bell. We are going to have yet another amazing late night stream. It's going to be a lot of fun. So let's join us. Let's go. Away we go.
I say that the century on which we are entering can be and must be the century of the common man.
A radical redistribution of economic power.
I mean, we know that racism is just a byproduct of capitalism. Everything would be all right if everything was put back in the hands of the people.
We need a government that will make sure Americans are taken care of and organize the economy to serve the people, not the profits of a wealthy few.
We now have the techniques and the resources to get rid of poverty.
We got to start getting out there with the people.
Get out of the movement and get to the masses.
We need a government of action.
Welcome, everybody. I am so glad to be here with all of you. Should be yet another great stream. The way we do things here is I give my opening remarks, and then my opening remarks are followed by a roll call where I call you all out as I see you. We find out who it is on the other side of the camera. It's names and locations, names and locations, names and locations. And then after that, I answer super chat questions for the rest of the night. So if there's something you would like me to talk about in the second half of our show, by all means, shoot me a super chat question. I will write it down, and that's the way the second half of the show works. So yeah, first the roll call, first the opening remarks, then the roll call. And then from there, I answer your super chat questions for the rest of the night. Should be a lot of fun tonight, but we're dealing with some very serious stuff. And, we're dealing with serious things. So I guess I will just jump right in to the opening remarks. I'll be writing down super chats as they roll in. So folks, you may not be aware, but last night, I was all fired up about how there is a demonstration happening on Saturday for peace on the Korean Peninsula. And I've been told that no one from my organization is welcome at that demonstration. And you might think, and a lot of you have really stepped up to the plate, CC'd me. I've seen a lot of the emails that have been sent to that despicable human being who runs that organization. Who is grifting the North Koreans. Just grifting. She doesn't actually want peace on the Korean Peninsula. She made that clear. She thinks somehow Donald Trump didn't meet with Kim Jong-un. She denied that it happened in the email. We're going to stay on top of her. And you would think that okay, Caleb, you made your point. A lot of people emailed her. Well, it's more serious now because this happened today. For those of you who may not be aware, this happened today.
Against the United States or its allies or partisans or partners is unacceptable and will result in the end of whatever regime were to take such an action. And it's about strengthening deterrence in response to DPRK's escalatory behavior and to deal in complete consultation. And, the idea that I have absolute authority as Commander-in-Chief and the sole authority to use a nuclear weapon, but what the declaration means is that we're going to make every effort to consult with our allies when it's appropriate, if any action is so called for. Certainly, we talked about this and some other things today, but the bottom line here is there's even closer cooperation, closer consultation, and we're not going to be stationing nuclear weapons on the peninsula, but we will have port visits of nuclear submarines and things like that. We are not walking away from that.
Joe Biden discussed the nuclear annihilation of North Korea today. The president of South Korea is there, and he and Biden had their conversation. There was some gross singing. And then Joe Biden discussed the nuclear annihilation of North Korea. And he said it would be the end of North Korea. I mean, he just talked about nuking North Korea. Now, this is where we were just a few years ago. This is where we were just a few years ago. This is where we were just a few years ago. The historic handshake, the first time a U.S. head of state ever met with the North Korean leader in North Korea. This was a historic moment. We've gotten from here to Joe Biden today threatening the nuclear annihilation of North Korea. However, Betsy and the PSL think this is progress because Donald Trump is racist. Oh my God, Donald Trump is racist. Seriously, that's what they think. They think that it's better to have Joe Biden threatening the nuclear annihilation of North Korea than it is to have this happening. Folks, let me remind you, this happened during the campaign. The Democrats made it clear they did not support Donald Trump improving relations with North Korea. In fact, they made clear that they considered Donald Trump to be bad for doing it. This is Kamala Harris, the vice president. This is what she said on the debate stage.
The Iran nuclear deal, to consistently turning a back on people who have stood with us in difficult times, including most recently the Kurds, points out that Donald Trump is the greatest threat to the national security of our nation at this moment.
But would you make concessions to North Korea to keep talks
Not at this point. There are no concessions to be made.
No concessions to be made.
He has traded a photo op for nothing. He has abandoned by shutting down the operations with South Korea.
By stopping the military drills that are the all-out destruction, rehearsing the all-out destruction of North Korea that the U.S. government does in coordination with the South Korean military every year. By stopping those drills, she's just so angry those drills were stopped.
For the last year and a half.
For the last year and a half, we're not practicing the all-out destruction of a country.
Those operations which should be, and those exercises which should be active, because they are in our best national security.
Really, how is it in our best national security interest to be practicing for a nuclear war against a nuclear armed country? How is that in our best national security interest?
The relationship that we have with Japan, he has in every way compromised our ability to have any influence on slowing down or at least having a check and balance on North Korea's nuclear program.
Actually, by meeting with them and having meetings and opening dialogue, it was the beginning of possible reconciliation, of possibly improving relations. We used to be at this place. This is where we used to be. And now we are at the place where Joe Biden is meeting with the new president of South Korea, discussing the all-out war and destruction. And we have Kamala Harris, the vice president, who's really mad that we paused the all-out military drills rehearsing the destruction of North Korea. She's mad about it. They think this is progress. All right? No Natal is run by the Party of Socialism and Liberation that boycotted the Rage Against the War Machine rally and called them racist and called it a racist protest, that supports the Stop Trump movement. And basically accused our entire organization of being sexual predators. And because they are so vicious and they are so committed to supporting the Democrats, not supporting North Korea, supporting the Democrats, not only, it's not enough for them to somehow try and link protests that brought Biden to power with supporting North Korea, when it's very clear Biden came to power on a platform of, I will end the negotiations. You just saw what Kamala Harris said there. It's bad enough that they're on the wrong side of the division in American politics. That's not enough. Those of us who are on the right side, they call all kinds of nasty names. They repeat sex gossip about us. It's really disgusting what these people have done. It's absolutely disgusting. So, I want to stay on top of these people. We are not going to forget this after this weekend. We are going to stay on top of these people. This is her email address. If you send her one email, send her another one. Let her know we have not forgotten this. Biden, her candidate, a woman who led people in Stop Trump protests, her candidate is in office right now, trying to roll back and stop and make sure that what happened this glorious day in world history never happens again. She was part of undoing this and bringing to power someone who came to office on a platform of making sure this never happens again. She took the resources and the money that she received from people who believe that they are helping bring peace on the Korean Peninsula, and she used it to fund people and to attach herself to people that were trying to bring Joe Biden to power. It is a disgusting, disgusting grift. You want to talk about misuse of funds? You want to talk about lying? You want to talk about manipulating people? Not at all raises money around the world telling people they believe in peace on the Korean Peninsula, when in reality what they believe is the Democratic Party in the White House. So much so that they will not, and they are just unwilling, they are just infuriated by our work as the Center for Political Innovation. We have raised the slogan that is actually supported by North Korea. This has been our message. Finish what Trump started. Peaceful reunification of the Korean Peninsula. That has been our message. We want the talks to continue. They don't. Betsy has made it clear she doesn't want the talks to continue. She just wants people to be like, war against North Korea is racist, and Donald Trump is racist, and America is like racist and stuff. Oh my God. It's unbelievable. North Korea wants Trump back in office. North Korea wants to negotiate with Donald Trump. And this woman who is grifting money, pretending to support North Korea, wants to use those money and that money and those resources to support Joe Biden, who just called for the nuclear annihilation of North Korea. If you want to talk about a liar, you want to talk about a grifter, it's this person. This person is a liar and a grifter. And they basically have set up an organization that is nothing more than a back channel between the Democratic Party and North Korea at a time that the Democratic Party wants nuclear annihilation of North Korea. And look at the details. We are going to have Douglas Kim on the show next week. Douglas Kim, a great Korean American, a good friend of mine, a poker champion, an actor. He's been in Hollywood. And he is going to tell us about how disgusting No Detal really is. No Detal is a grifting, lying organization that doesn't support North Korea. It supports the Democratic Party. And it is trying to manipulate the global peace movement and the South Korean peace movement into thinking that somehow, despite all the evidence, the Democrats are their friends. I am so excited to have Douglas Kim on the show. It's going to be a great interview. He's been on here before. He did a great panel with Noah, who's in the chat, and Pastor Stevens from Manhattan. And, it was a great chat about anti-Asian racism and discrimination. And I am so excited to bring Douglas Kim back on here to get the truth about this lying, grifting organization called No to All. That it wasn't enough for them to just make clear they had a political disagreement with us. Oh, no, it wasn't enough. They had to basically, we know that behind closed doors, they are calling us every nasty name. We have in print what they called us. They basically said that any member of our organization was not welcome at their demonstration. Not just me, right? Not just me, right? Any member of our organization was not welcome because of sex or whatever. That basically they said that every member of the CPI is a sexual predator, that they were afraid that if any member of the CPI showed up, they would just start sexually assaulting people at the rally. You want to talk about a lying, despicable person? These people, that's what they said. They said that every member of our organization, no member of our organization was welcome because of sexual stuff. Not just me. Every member of our organization, right? That's what they did. It wasn't enough for there to be a political issue. It wasn't enough to be like, well, we actually support the Democrats and you guys think Trump is better for Korea, even though that's what North Korea thinks. And so we don't agree with y'all. No. It had to be, you're rapists. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It's really unbelievable. So do not let up on this. We are going to remember this for months. We are going to remember this. I showed you the emails on the screen last night. We are never going to let them forget this. And you know what? We're not doing anything on Saturday. There's going to be a time that their organization is going to be having a public event and they won't even see it coming. And there's going to be loads of CPI members in the audience and we are going to shut their event down. Not saying when, not saying where, may not happen soon. We are going to shut one of their events down. We are going to make them pay for this because they are stealing money from Korean Americans who really want peace. They're stealing money from Koreans who want peace. They are manipulating and maneuvering and lying to the world movement. And at the end of the day, the North Koreans know who it was who actually met with them. This is beyond me. Did anyone not hear what Joe Biden just said? Let's play the clip again. Right? This is who No to All supports. The No to All organization supports this guy, right? You can't make this up. A group that claims to want peace on the Korean Peninsula says nobody who supports Trump or says finish what Trump started is welcome at their rallies because they support Joe Biden. And they literally are supporting a man who is discussing the nuclear annihilation of North Korea. They support this man. And they claim to be a peace organization.
The United States or its allies or partisans or partners is unacceptable and will result in the end of whatever regime were to take such an action. And it's about strengthening deterrence in response to DPRK's escalatory behavior and to deal in complete consultation. And, the idea that I have absolute authority as Commander-in-Chief and the sole authority to use a nuclear weapon, but what the declaration means is that we're going to make every effort to consult with our allies when it's appropriate.
Yeah, that is what they are supporting. They are supporting Joe Biden, and they are banning people who bring a banner who say this. They are banning people who say this. And it's not enough to just ban us for our political views. They have to smear and repeat sex gossip and rumors about us as if there isn't loads of sex gossip. I showed you page after page after page. Her people, her friends in the Party of Socialism and Liberation have loads of sexual allegations against them, right? But I'm sure they'll be all over it. Why? Because they're also Democrats. That's why. Let's quickly look at who will be at the rally. Who will be at the rally? Right? Who will be at the rally? After they sent us that disgusting, hateful email, who will be at the rally? Brief criticism of the Party for Socialism and Party for Socialism and Liberation. Party for Socialism and Liberation member Dakota Gray's Me Too. They're going to be at the rally. That's fine, right? Oh, Who else? A party that's been hit with Me Too not once, but many, many times. And I'm not even saying that these things are necessarily true, but if that's the grounds, right? Because somebody wrote something about us, a group that is a cult of rapists and abusers. PSL, a cult of rapists and abusers, but they're fine. They're totally welcome because they're Democrats and they hate Donald Trump, right? Oh, what else? What else do we got here? Quora. I've seen that there have been a lot of communists who accuse the PSL of having a culture of misogyny and that it's revisionist, right? I mean, it's go and read all the different sexual assault allegations, sexual abuse allegations that have been leveled against the PSL. But you can be sure that Betsy and her little friends in PSL who worked to bring down Donald Trump and who worked to bring Joe Biden to office, they're totally welcome at this rally, right? We have to expose this grift. This is a cynical grift. The big budget that this organization has. They raise money all over the world claiming that they are an American organization working for peace in North Korea. They are not working for peace in North Korea. They are actively persecuting people who are working for peace in North Korea. They are spreading sex gossip and lies about us, and they are supporting Joe Biden. That is what they are doing. That is what they are doing. So please send her another email, and we are going to be on top of these people. There will come a time where we are going to shut down their events. Won't be anytime soon because they'll be prepared for it this time. There's going to come a time where we are going to shut down their events. We are going to make their lives miserable because these people, if nuclear war on the Korean Peninsula happens, these people will be responsible. Why? Because they prevented a real peace movement from happening. They saw the biggest amount of progress that has ever happened on the Korean Peninsula. They saw it unfolding. They saw, they saw Donald Trump shaking hands with Kim Jong-un, and they said, oh, no, that can't happen. Donald Trump's a big racist. Donald Trump, we have Trump derangement syndrome. These people need to be called out, and I am not going to rest. We have got to do everything we can to make them miserable. We are going to never let them forget this. And there will come a time where we will confront them in person, right? We will confront them in person at some point. We will confront them in person. Not sure when, but we will. We will. And I just wanted to give you all an update on that because we need to keep going. I have seen people have CC'd me some of the beautiful emails they have sent Betsy calling her out for this despicable behavior. Basically saying that our whole organization are sexual predators. It's despicable. It's despicable what this woman has done. Right. We are going to continue to hold them accountable as much as we possibly can. Because this is utterly insane. Folks, for too long, we have put off what is necessary, confronting the synthetic left. We've battled them on the internet, but the internet is rigged. The algorithms are rigged. We're going to have to confront them in real life. At some point, we're going to have to do some real life interventions, and not sure when again, but we're going to have to engage in some real life interventions with these people. We are going to have to actively start shutting these people down because they will stop at nothing to try and destroy our organization, to try and support World War III. They are cheering for the Uhuru indictments right now. They are cheering that Tucker Carlson's been banned from TV because Tucker Carlson's racist. He's racist. It's like the only anti-war voice in mainstream U.S. media is banned from TV. And they're totally fine with that because they work. Are not anti-imperialist. They work for. And we have to just confront them. There is no way around it. And if you do it on the internet, they'll always get the boost. We know that Elon Musk and all of them has been boosting them as much as possible, right? We have to confront them in real life. The time and place will have to be determined. We're going to do it on our term. We're going to do it on our own terms. We'll do it on our own terms. We'll pick the time. We'll pick the place. And they won't see it coming. And they'll have no idea it's coming. But we are going to make these people realize that the lies that they tell about people, the efforts they go to destroy people's lives, to destroy people's reputations, the way they call heroic anti-racists, white supremacists, and try to incite violence against them, they're going to have to be held accountable for that. They're going to have to be held accountable for that. So, you know, I mean, we are going to intervene. We are going to intervene, and we are going to do something about it. We are going to confront these people. Not saying when, not saying where, not even saying what we're going to do. We are going to confront these people. The synthetic left needs to be held accountable for what it's done. And they love the internet where things are rigged for them. They love that the internet is rigged to support them. But in real life, things aren't as rigged. In real life, things aren't as rigged. And they could find themselves outnumbered very, very, very quickly, because this can't continue. I mean, 13,000 people came to the Rage Against the War Machine rally. But I can guarantee you, if PSL didn't exist, it would have been 10 times that size. PSL mobilized all its forces and all its resources to spreading lies about the Rage Against the War Machine rally, to telling people that anyone who went to it was a Nazi, to calling up people and making threats. I mean, they went all out of their way, all out to try and stop the Rage Against the War Machine rally. Why? Because they knew it would be bigger than their rally. Why? Because their job is to make sure the anti-war movement is small. They make sure, at this point, folks, this is way bigger than just Korea. It's way bigger than just Korea. So much bigger than just Korea. Polls show, overwhelmingly, the American people are against these wars. They are against these wars. But the anti-war protests are the smallest we've ever seen. It doesn't make any sense. Anti-war public opinion is up here. Anti-war protests are down here. And you know why that is? Because of 3 letters. PSL. The Answer Coalition makes sure that to get to the protests, you have to be woke, right? If you're not 100% pro-transgender, get out of here. You're not 100% pro-whatever, get out of here, right? The Americans who are against these wars are largely Americans that are in the U.S. military, are largely Americans with libertarian or right-wing views. And PSL has attached itself to the Democratic Party and to the woke Democratic Party. You know, sad. These people, it's like the Bernie movement was too not woke for them, right? I remember this. Back in 2016, when Bernie was running for president, he was having... There were these huge rallies to support Bernie Sanders. I don't know if you remember this. They were huge, huge rallies to support Bernie Sanders. Huge rallies in support of Bernie Sanders that happened. Trying to fix my mic here. And you would think that communist, socialist groups, that's where they would go. That's where they would go, because all these people that are interested in socialism are rallying at Bernie, gathering at Bernie rallies. Well, I went to those Bernie rallies. I didn't see PSL there. I went to those Bernie rallies. I did not see... I barely saw any communists at the Bernie rallies. Why? They were too busy organizing the Stop Trump protests. Because their job is to not actually set policy. Their job is to basically more or less run the Democratic Party's protest squad. The Answer Coalition was too busy organizing Stop Trump protests to engage with supporters of Bernie Sanders. And in fact, most of the people that were part of the Bernie Sanders movement, like Jimmy Dore, like Convo Couch, they now call those people racist and white supremacist, right? We have to go after the PSL. But anyway, I just had to get that out of my system. That's like my opening little bit. But I got other things I want to talk about here tonight, right? We don't want to focus on the negative. I'll post the email one more time. Give her a piece of your mind. We are never going to let this woman live it down. We want peace in the Korean Peninsula. She wants the Democratic Party to get elected so they can blow up the Korean Peninsula. And we are going to, I mean, the grifting and the lying, and I can't, Douglas Kim, wait till you hear. I mean, these people are such despicable grifters. I mean, one of the main people in this Not-at-all organization has been caught on the internet raising money under fake names. And I don't know all the details myself. Wait until you hear it. I mean, it's just despicable, these people, right? The North Koreans, a country that's been barricaded and surrounded. People are starving, and they're desperately trying to get, talk to any Americans that will make any hope for them. And they cynically turn that into a money-making opportunity so that they can help the Democrats, who they know that Joe Biden just threatened the nuclear annihilation of North Korea. They know that Donald Trump shook hands with Kim Jong-un. They know that John Bolton, who supports Biden, is the one who wrecked the talks. They know this, and they don't care because they're more loyal to wokeness and the Democratic Party. And, oh, did you read my college paper that I wrote about how Puerto Rican transgender people are being oppressed by Vladimir Putin and how they had to invent whole different new pronoun names? And I just wrote my gender thesis about sex workers from Nicaragua and how the sex workers of Uganda are being oppressed by the Vladimir Putin Nazbol left, and how some of the erotica, the internet fan erotica written by the people of, these people sit with PSL. They are scum. They're just utter scum. They're not interested in communism. They're interested in woke shit, right? They've never read any of these books that I have behind me on the shelf. No, they're too busy reading books about how patriarchal white males are oppressing people. And I got an A+ in my gender studies class for pointing out that I saw the movie Avatar and there was only 3 women in it. And that shows that the patriarchal male oppression of the, I hate these people. These people are disgusting. They have nothing to do with communism. It is just this, and you sit there, and it's you talk to them. You talk to them for 2 minutes, and all they've got is well, we're more oppressed than you. Oh my God, we're people of color, and we're women, and we're transgender, and oh my God, we won the oppression Olympics, and we do things, we have protests, and we sound like Democrats and liberals, but we actually do something. So we don't care about books written by old white men. Oh my God, they're awful human beings, right? They belong in the toilet of the Democratic Party office. That's where they belong. They belong in the toilet and in the porta-john outside the Democratic Party's office. That's where they belong. They don't belong in an organization grifting money from all over the world, claiming they want peace in the Korean Peninsula. They don't, right? I'm so tired of these NGO grifters. I am so tired of them. But anyway, that's my opening rant. Just have to get it out of my system, right? One more time. Here's the email. One more time, one more time, right? These people chose to have a war with me. They chose to have a war with me. So we're going to give them a war, and it won't be over on Saturday. It's going to be months. We are going to go after these people. They wanted to have a war with the Center for Political Innovation. They wanted to accuse our entire organization of being sexual predators. We're going after them. We are going after them. We are gonna go after them. So yeah, there you go. We are gonna wage war against the Not-at-all organization because they are grifting and they are lying, and they are at a moment where the Democratic Party is threatening the nuclear annihilation of North Korea. They are more concerned with fighting Donald Trump than they are for supporting peace on the Korean Peninsula, right? And they are just one part of a bigger problem. Look, my good friends in the Party of Communists, USA, all right, they finally got representation recently on one of the national Cuba solidarity organizations. This is a big communist party in the United States, Peace of USA, one of the bigger Marxist groups. They finally got representation on one of the national Cuba organizations. Please don't advertise other people's streams in my chat. I'm not interested. And And we love PCUSA, not CPUSA. Very, very good point. Right. And, somebody blocked this Derek guy. He's just here to stir up drama. Last time he was trying to incite shit about Max Blumenthal. He doesn't belong in this thing. So mods, get rid of Derek. Right. Get rid of that guy. He doesn't belong here. He's just trying to stir up drama. He's made that clear. Right. It's like there's enough drama going on already. We don't need drama with irrelevant people. So, yeah. Yeah. Get him out. Get him out. Get him out. Get him out. I have to open the YouTube if I myself opening the YouTube. Get him out. Get him out. But yeah. Like we just gotta fight the synthetic left. We just gotta fight the synthetic left. We just gotta fight the synthetic left, and we gotta do it. But I've got other things I want to talk to you all about. Which is that, shout out to Liam from Space LaRouche. He's awesome. Space LaRouche is amazing. Great YouTube channel. I got to hang out with Liam today. He came to my neighborhood. He visited me. It was really nice. Liam is an awesome guy. I'm going to link his channel. We've had him on this channel before. We've had him here. We've interviewed him here before. We're going to have him back. We're going to have him back at some point. But he's a really great young guy. He's really awesome. He's really, really awesome. I just had a great chat with him here in the neighborhood. Just a really, really nice person. I was talking to him today, and what we need more than anything, right, is we need to build communities, because there are so many people that have been left behind, so many people who've been left behind by capitalism, so many people who've been lost, and we need to build community. And so much of what happens on the internet is not really community building. It's tragic. It's people competing with each other and complaining, but we really need to build community. Right? Here's Space LaRouche. I guess he's changed the name of it, but it's still his channel. It's Liam. He's a great young guy, and he wants to produce content. And we're on here. We're doing cutting edge because the emperor has no clothes. In so many ways, the emperor has no clothes. And we are at the point where it's like the American people, they want a real left. They want jobs. They want healthcare. They want education. Donald Trump, who is not a good guy. I mean, he's just a selfish politician in a lot of ways. He realizes that. And if you watch his speech about the quantum leap, he realized that what the American people want is they want someone to control the means of production and make their lives better. That's what they want. They want someone to control the economy and improve their living conditions. The American people want a government of action that will fight for working families. That is what they want. They want a government of action that'll bring the troops home, and it'll rebuild this country and provide schools and jobs and healthcare and education. They want a government that will stand up for the people against the big banks and the big monopolies. They want what communists and socialists and leftists, they want what we're all about, right? They want what Stalin did for Russia, 5-year economic plans, industrialization. They want what Hugo Chavez did in Venezuela, using the oil profits to build up the domestic economy. They want what Gaddafi did in Libya with the great man-made river and the socialist construction projects. They want their lives to be improved, and they want a strong government that'll step in and organize the economy to serve the people, not the profits of a wealthy few. Force the economy to work in the interests of the American people. That is what they want. That is what they want. And so it's just a matter of giving it to them, right? It's just a matter of saying to the American people, we offer you this. We offer you a government of action to fight for working families. But they won't, right? At the very moment where the American people are ready to hear about socialism for the first time, the left has decided we're not interested in that anymore. No, now what we want degrowth. We want everyone to be poorer. Everyone to be poorer. They're like, we've decided that we want the American people to feel awful about themselves. We want the American people to be ashamed. We want them to be poorer because they're racist. I mean, it's like, I've never seen anything like it. We are at a moment where for years, remember my whole life, I always heard, oh, communism never worked anywhere. America is the richest country in the world. Now America is falling apart economically. People are against the wars. People realize the government is rigged to serve a group of billionaire rich people. People realize that, that the working class is being screwed, that these wars are not being waged in our interest. All the things communists have been working their whole life to convince people now think. They believe that the police state is a threat to their civil liberties. It used to be that, especially among white Americans, there was this attitude that the police state was good, right? They thought a police state was fine, right? It's protecting us from criminals and black people. That's what they thought. Well, now, white working class people tend to be very much against the police state, right? It used to be that among the broad masses of Americans, there was a feeling that we got to support our military. We're going around the world spreading freedom. America, love it or leave it. They supported the wars. Now, overwhelmingly, the American people are against these wars. There used to be a feeling that America was a democracy and we get to elect our leaders. Now there's a feeling, no, the country's run by a group of rich people who don't have the power. All the things that communists used to talk until they were blue in the face trying to convince people. People now believe. Okay? People now believe these things. And the left no longer believes it. I've never seen anything like it. When I was a kid in the 90s, I thought that the wars were wrong, so I became a communist. When I was a kid in the 90s, I thought the police state was wrong, so I became a communist. When I was a kid in the 90s, I thought America wasn't a real democracy. It was run by a group of ultra-rich people, so I became a communist. Now, communists don't think that. So-called communists, so-called leftists, if you talk to them, you say, hey, the government's run by a group of rich people. They're like, that's a conspiracy theory. That sounds like something from Tucker Carlson. I bet that's what Betsy herself would say. That sounds like Tucker Carlson. Well, no. I mean, you're not allowed to say that, right? If you said that, geez, the FBI is, they just rounded up the Uhuru movement. They're violating our civil liberties. They're wiretapping us. They'd say, we have to support our FBI because of the right-wing extremists that are tied to Donald Trump. Oh my God. That's what Betsy would say, right? And if you were to come out and, say that, geez, I think these wars that are being waged around the world are waged for the profits of a wealthy few, they'd say, oh my God, that sounds like you're spreading Russian propaganda. I bet you got that from RT. That's racist. These people are evil. They have nothing to do with communism. I got interested in communism because I was against the wars. And now you're not allowed to be against the wars on the left. You're not allowed to go to Rage Against the War Machine. Right? Anyone who goes to the Rage Against the War Machine rallies in the Ku Klux Klan, according to Betsy. Right? Oh, no, you can't. No. You can't think the police state's not good. Oh, no. If you think the police state's not good, then you are a white supremacist because our FBI is protecting us from right-wing terrorists and extremists. There you go. And, oh, no. If you think that the country's run by big banks, did you say banks? That must be anti-Semitic. You said bankers. No. America's a democracy. If you think that America's not a democracy, you're spreading right-wing conspiracy theories. Super chat, writing it down. And please keep the super chats rolling in, folks. We've got plenty of time here tonight. I got plenty of energy, plenty to talk about. Who will fill the void left by Tucker Carlson? Right? And there you go. So, I mean, we just, at this point, the people who claim to be communists are not that. They are just Democrats. And they don't believe any of the things that used to attract people to communism, right? This should be the ideal time for communist groups to grow. But instead, it's not, because the communist groups no longer believe in communism. The American people believe what communists used to believe in. And now the communists believe in gender studies. the gender studies theory. Now the communists believe in right-wingers are bad people and should be silenced because they're like thinking wrong. It's really unbelievable. The story, I don't know if you heard this, since we're talking about Tucker Carlson, I might as well talk about it. We're kind of freeloading here tonight. Just kind of rambling here tonight. I'm ranting against the synthetic left. And, it feels good. I can tell this community loves the opportunity to actually push back. You know what I mean? That's why I'm doing this, right? Our community really loves it when we give you an enemy, right? When we give you a person, right? That's why we really kind of owe Betsy. We really owe Betsy. We really thank her for this, because she, by sending us that email, she made clear that her organization is spreading lies about the Center for Political Innovation, that her organization is trying to paint our entire organization as sexual predators. She made clear that this organization that claims to want peace on the Korean Peninsula is involved in trying to destroy the reputations of our organization. So now we have a dartboard to throw darts at. And it's great, right? Now we don't just have to feel disempowered on here. We don't just have to feel angry on these streams. We can let this woman know how we feel. She is trying to harm our community. She is inciting violence against our community. She's one of the people who's spreading around that we're white supremacists and spreading around that we're racist, and now that we're sexual predators. We know who one of the people is. Right. And she's grifting from this Korean American organization that doesn't really want peace on the Korean Peninsula. And we now know who she is. You know what I mean? And so we can throw darts at this target. Not literally, of course, but so we have a real enemy now. And that feels good. It feels good to have a real enemy, right? We were nothing but polite. We offered, in the most friendly way. I'll show you the email that we sent her. The most friendly, polite email. I said, hey, this is who we are. No reply for like a week and a half. And then that nasty reply where she called our entire organization sexual predators. Our entire organization, she claimed, were sexual predators. And at that point, now we know who to retaliate against. You know what I mean? Now we have an individual to retaliate against. And we are retaliating, and we are fighting back. The Center for Political Innovation, you think that you can just smear and lie about us, you think you can just incite violence against us, right? We will retaliate. We will fight back. And, we are never going to let them hear the end of this. We are gonna make sure. I know for a fact that all over the Korean diaspora, I made some phone calls. I've been talking to people about North Korea and stuff. They are going to regret this. They are going to regret this, right? That this PSL front organization, this Democratic Party front organization, had the gall to respond to us that way and speak that way about our organization. They are going to regret it. They are going to regret it. So there you go. There you go. There you go. But anyway, is there anything else we're going to talk about tonight? Folks, I got a lot on my mind. It was great to see Liam today. Shout out to you again, Liam, if you're watching. I'm really excited to have Douglas Kim on the show later. But we are fighting an uphill battle. I ought to play a song tonight. We've been doing the communist music thing, We've been doing the communist music thing for a while. I like communist music, but I want to play like different communist songs. We play different ones. What is there a different communist song I could play tonight? Maybe people in the chat have some suggestions about what communist songs. The Matrix is a system. That system is our enemy. These people are still part of that system, and they're not ready to be unplugged. All right. Is that a quote from the movie The Matrix? Is that a quote from the movie The Matrix, Mariah? Is that what it is? So there you go. There you go. Katusha. That's a good suggestion. Katusha, right? That's a Russian song, right? I could play that. I could play Katusha. That I wasn't even thinking of. I was thinking of like American communist music, but we could play Katusha. Katusha, right? Right, let's find a version of Katusha to play, right? We could do that, couldn't we? All right, here we go. What is this? Is this version? Will this work? Let me see if this version works. I will try to play this version of Katusha. I will download it. It's a World War II song from Russia, from the Soviet Union. It's like the guy is longing for his girlfriend. He's fighting on the front or whatever, and he's longing for his girlfriend. And it's like, he's longing for his love. The girlfriend's name is Katusha. It's a very Russian song. It's very it's got kind of a Russian style to it. And they play it in Russia a lot. It's kind of like a national song. So yeah, I'll play Katusha. Why not? I just found a version of Katusha. We'll play that. That's good. I would never have thought of that. Rima, I would never have thought of that. So we will play Katusha. That's a great idea. That is a great idea. We will play Katusha. But there you go. All righty. It's downloading. We will play us some Katusha. All right. Here it is. Let me save it onto the desktop. Save it onto the desktop. Oh, goodness gracious. Don't you love it when your computer is not cooperating? But it's okay. We got this figured out. Dun, dun, dun. I have to move it onto the desktop another way. Ugh. Okay. All right. This is getting a little bit frustrating. Is professional sports used against communists in any notable way? I mean, organizations like the NBA, the NFL, MLB, NASCAR, hockey, and racing. Is professional sports used against communists in any way? NBA, NFL, etc. That is an interesting question. I'll have to think about it, but I'll have time to think about it. So there we go. All right, so I think maybe I'm going to have to play this video file a different way, but that's okay. I can still play it. I just have to. All right, let me see. All right, let me see if I can play it a different way. I'm going to have to play it in the share screen way, right? Katusha. All right. All right, we're ready.
Расцветали яблони и груши, поплыли туманы. Выходила, песню заводила про степного сизого орла, про того, которого любила, про того, чьи письма берегла. Которого любила, про того, чьи письма берегла. Ой, ты песня, песня, песня. Пусть он вспомнит девушку простую, пусть все слышит, как она поет. Пусть он землю бережет родную, а любовь Катюша сбережет.
So there you go. Great suggestion from the chat. And since we're on a kick, since we're going to play Russian communist songs, I never would have thought of that, right? Why don't I play my favorite Russian communist song, which is my favorite, and it is called Nash Paravos, which means, and I'm probably butchering that. My apologies to anyone who's watching who is a Russian speaker. My favorite communist song is called Our Locomotive, and I'm going to play it on here because I found a version that has the lyrics translated in English. It's using the locomotive, the train, as an analogy for like historical progress in the future. It is really one of my all-time favorite communist songs. And it is very Russian. And it comes out of the early period of the revolution. I think the Russian Civil War is when it comes from. It's an early Bolshevik song. But yeah, we will play Nash Paravos, Our Locomotive. All right. So there you go. Yeah, that one is my favorite. That one is one of my, I mean, it is my favorite of all the like Russian, like Bolshevik songs. Now this is another one. I'll just, we're on a kick. Why not? Right. And thanks. Gleb says my pronunciation is good. I just have to believe you, Gleb. I mean, you probably are somebody who knows better than me. People have more super chats for the second half of the show. Why don't we do this? But this is a song, this one. So we all know, the, I've recited for you all many, many times the Cloakmakers song, right, which was a song by the the Communist Party Union. The Cloakmakers Union is a no good union. It's a company union by the bosses. Those right wing, well, it's got to sing it. The Cloakmakers Union is a no good union. It's a company union by the bosses. Those right wing cloakmakers, they are socialist fakers who play upon the workers' double crosses. The Hillquits, Dubinskys, and the Thomases are making the workers false promises. They preach socialism while they practice fascism to preserve capitalism for the bosses. Right. That's like an American communist anthem criticizing the union, the union of social democrats. Right. They preach socialism, but apparently the Bolshevik version of this song is kind of fun. It's called Capitalism Oppresses Us. And I guess this is a version. I don't exactly know what the lyrics are. But I do know the Bolshevik version of this song. And so this is the Bolshevik version. I guess this has English translation. I hadn't looked in a while. They always change what is available on the internet. So here we go. Capitalism Oppresses Us. All righty. So there you go. Was Napoleon III as bad as Marx made him out to be in 18th Brumaire? He did give the workers the right to strike. All righty. That's a good question. That is a very good question. So yeah, but since I know somebody in the chat, and keep the super chats rolling in. We got to make the second half of this show long enough. Someone said they liked how gospel sounding it is. Well, I don't know if you know about Joe Hill. Joe Hill was a wobbly IWW folk singer, right? And he took popular songs from his time and he made them into communist anthems. And some of the versions of them are quite good. And a lot of them were from Christian gospel hymns, because at that point the big group on the street was the Salvation Army. The Salvation Army would be out on the street proselytizing Christianity. They had a lot of songs that they sang. And so he would take their hymns and he would rewrite the lyrics to be communist. So a lot of those really old gospel hymns, he rewrote them to be very communist sounding. So yeah. Right. Let me see if I can find one of those for you. for example, there's one of these old hymns, "There is power in the blood." And so he wrote, "There is power in a union," right? So, right. All right. Well, "There is power in a union." I hope it's the same version. I hope it's not the, the other version, because there's, Billy Bragg has another version, "There is power in a union," that is, like it's totally different tune. So I hope this is the right one. It says Joe Hill cover, "Power in the Union." So yeah, we'll play that. We'll do a couple Joe Hill songs on here. I like Joe Hill's stuff. Yeah, "There is power in a union," right? We'll do that one. That's a good one. And it was "Power in the Blood," and he rewrote it to be "There is power in a union." We'll do that one. We'll do that one. All right. So there we go. We'll do that. I'm just having a good time here, folks. This is chill. I got my rant about the synthetic left out of my system, and that was good. And we will hold this grudge. We will hold this grudge. Oh, I missed a super chat. All right, rolling up while we're waiting for "Power in a Union" to finish. I saw Gleb, and then, right. Yes, I quoted The Matrix. I wanted to discuss the psychology of Aldous Huxley. People will come to love their oppression. All right, we can talk about Aldous Huxley. People will come to love their oppression. Oh, we can definitely talk about that. I have read Brave New World. I have strong thoughts about it. So there you go. All right. So hopefully "There is Power in a Union" continues to download, and we'll play that. Might do a couple more Joe Hill songs. Oh yeah. Right. Might do a couple more of them. But yeah. And then after that we'll be good. So there you go. Okay. So there you go. Okay. Almost ready for that one. Yeah, we're just having a more chill stream tonight. But look, every night I can't be screaming and preaching at you all. I mean, I do most nights, but there you go. Yeah, tonight we're listening to some music. Summer can be a weird time. It's starting to be summer. My allergies are going crazy, and I'm sitting here, and I have proven myself to be relentless. I'll just tell you that much. They have thrown so much at me this year, and we keep going. All right. "There is power in a union." Oh, goodness. Where is the file now? It has a number. All right. All right. "There is power in a union," Joe Hill cover. Here we go. Hope it's the right version.
This song was written in 1913 by Joe Hill and published in the Little Red Songbook. The industrial workers of the world, commonly known as the Wobblies, put a lot of effort into trying to organise migrant workers in lumber and construction camps. They sometimes had competition for the attention of the workers from religious organisations. This song uses the tune of Lewis E. Jones's 1899 hymn, "There is Power in the Blood of the Lamb." Please sing along. Would you have freedom from wage slavery? Then join in the grand industrial band. Would you from misery and hunger be free? Then come do your share, lend a hand. There is power in a band of working folks when they stand hand in hand. That's a power that must rule in every land. One industrial union grand. Would you have mansions of gold in the sky and live in a shack way in the back? Would you have wings up in heaven to fly and starve here with rags on your back? There is power in a band of working stand hand in hand. That's a power that must rule in every land. One industrial union grand. If you've had enough of the blood of the Lamb, then join in the grand industrial band. If for a change you would have eggs and ham, then come to your share, lend a hand. There is power in a band of working folks when they stand hand in hand. That's a power that must rule in every land. One industrial union grand. If you like sluggers to beat in your head, then don't organise, all unions despise. If you want nothing before you are dead, shake hands with your boss and look wise. There is power in a band of working folks when they stand hand in hand. That's a power that must rule in every land. One industrial union grand. Come all ye workers from every land, come join in the grand industrial band. Then we our share of this earth shall demand. Come on, do your share, lend a hand. There is power in a band of working folks when they stand hand in hand. That's a power that must rule in every land. One industrial union grand.
Yeah, I love that song. One of my longtime favorites. And I will also now play yet another Joe Hill song. Well, I guess we'll do it differently. We'll just upload the file. This is called The Tramp. Where is it? My goodness. Okay, I guess we'll do it the other way. All right. We will do The Tramp. This is another Joe Hill song. Or we'll do it. Okay. Share screen. We'll do The Tramp.
Shut your trap. I will tell you about a chap that was broken up against to forfeit. He was not the kind that jerk. He was looking hard for work, but he heard the same old story everywhere. He walked up and down the street, the shoes fell off his feet.
This is not a good version of this song. Not a good version of that song. Sorry, that's not how that song goes. That's some kind of jazz something or other. That is not how that song goes. We're going to find a better version of that song because that is, I don't know what that was. That is not how that song goes. I know how that song goes, and that is not it. That is not it. I will play The Tramp by Joe Hill. That is not how that song goes. That was like some kind of slow guitar thing. That is not that song. Sorry. Sometimes my patience does run out when people play classic communist songs wrong. And that was an abomination. I wasn't going to let that continue. And in fact, I think we can play a version by the guy we just heard. Right? We can do that. So that'll be okay. Sorry to cut that off. Maybe some of you were enjoying that, but I couldn't listen to that any longer. I was just not gonna tolerate that. You know, it's weird. I'm a little bit picky with my music, I guess. I am, but there you go. Yeah. The Jimmy Buffett version. Exactly. That's what it sounded like the Jimmy Buffett version. But there you go. There you go. Speaking of which, trivia question for all my fans. What do I say about Jimmy Buffett in this book? In chapter 4 of the new book, we talk about Jimmy Buffett. We talk about Jimmy Buffett in this book. I will put on the screen and give a free super chat to the first person in the chat who says what I say about Jimmy Buffett. How is Jimmy Buffett mentioned in this book? What is the mention of Jimmy Buffett in this book? Where does Jimmy Buffett get mentioned in this book? Speaking of Jimmy Buffett. Who will be the first person to name how Jimmy Buffett is mentioned in my new book? I'll give you a hint. It's in chapter 4. It's in chapter 4. It is in chapter 4. Oh, wow. Nuplex. Got it. Bob Avakian received his revelation from Jimmy Buffett. You are correct, sir. This, right? This, it's mentioned in here. You are correct, Nuplex. So I will give you a free super chat. You can pick anything you want. You were the first one to know, but yes, I will tell you the page number that I talk about Jimmy Buffett in this book. Jimmy Buffett gets an honorable mention in chapter 4 of this book on what page is it? Yeah, it's on page 312. On page 312, I quote Bob Avakian having his great revelation about the working class at the Jimmy Buffett concert from his autobiography. So there you go. There you go. That all right. So now we have The Tramp by Joe Hill. We have The Tramp by Joe Hill. We have the correct version of it. We have the correct version of that song. I assume this will be the correct one. A Nuplex, I will read it. I will put you on the super chat list. Any topic you want, you get a free super chat because of that. You got it. You were the first one to come up with it. But yeah, read in the new book, page 312, I talk about Jimmy Buffett. But there you go. All right. All right. And here is Joe Hill's The Tramp.
If you all will shut your trap, I will tell you about a chap that was broken up against it and threadbare. He was not the kind to shirk, he was looking hard for work, but he heard the same old story everywhere. Tramp, 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 keep on a tramping, nothing doing here for you. If I catch you round again, you will wear the ball and chain. Keep on tramping, that's the best thing you can do. He walked up and down the street till the shoes fell off his feet. In a house he spied a lady cooking stew, and he said, "How do you do? May I chop some wood for you?" What the lady told him made him feel so blue. Tramp, 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 keep on a tramping, nothing doing here for you. If I catch you round again, you will wear the ball and chain. Keep on tramping, that's the best thing you can do. Across the street a sign he read, "Work for Jesus," so it said, and he said, "Here is my chance, I'll surely try." And he kneeled upon the floor till his knees got rather sore, but at eating time he heard the preacher cry, "Tramp, tramp, tramp, keep on a tramping, nothing doing here for you. If I catch you round again, you will wear the ball and chain. Keep on tramping, that's the best thing you can do." Down the street he met a cop, and the copper made him stop, and he asked him, "When did you blow into town? Come with me up to the judge." But the judge he said, "Oh fudge, bums that have no money needn't come around. Tramp, 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 keep on a tramping, nothing doing here for you. If I catch you round again, you will wear the ball and chain. Keep on tramping, that's the best thing you can do." Finally came that happy day when his life did pass away. He was sure he'd go to heaven when he died. When he reached the pearly gate, sent Peter Meanolskate, slammed the gate right in his face and loudly cried, "Tramp, tramp, tramp, keep on a-tramping, nothing doing here for you. If I catch you round again, you will wear the ball and chain. Keep on tramping, that's the best thing you can do." In despair he went to hell, with the devil for to dwell, for the reason he'd no other place to go. And he said, "I'm full of sin, so for Christ's sake let me in." But the devil said, "Oh, beat it, you hobo. Tramp, 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 keep on a-tramping, nothing doing here for you. If I catch you round again, you will wear the ball and chain. Keep on tramping, that's the best thing you can do. Keep on tramping, that's the best thing you can do."
Alrighty. Now, we're on a roll here tonight, and we got some super chats. And Nuplex, if you have a new super chat, if you have one you want me to do, by all means, shoot it my way, because you're entitled to one, Nuplex, because you got the answer to the question first. But I'm on a kick, so I'm going to do one more. The reason I'm going to do it is actually because my frustration, I get all fired up here against the synthetic left. My frustration is the basics of Marxism, overproduction, the tendency of the falling rate of profit. The problem of capitalism being that it holds back growth. It creates poverty amid plenty. The coal miner's riddle. The little boy says to his father, "Why is it so cold?" Father says, "Because we can't afford any coal to heat the stove." The little boy says, "Why, Father, can we not afford any coal to heat the stove?" The father says, "Because I lost my job at the coal mine." The boy says to the father, "Why did you lose your job at the coal mine?" He says, "Because there's too much coal." Poverty amid plenty. That is Marxism. And that's what I spend this book talking about. And nobody talks about that anymore. Nobody talks about that. That is what Marxism is all about. How can we get beyond the irrationality of the profit system to create enough wealth for all? And if you listen to this song I'm about to play for you, it's called "It's a Long Way Down to the Soup Line." Listen to the last verse of the song. It explains it exactly, because this used to be just common sense for Marxists. And it's about someone losing their job. It's about unemployment, but it's also about the solution. It has a happy ending. So I'm going to play "It's a Long Way Down to the Soup Line," because this song, it tells you the reason I'm on here ranting against the synthetic left is they don't understand what Marxism is about. And this book will tell you what Marxism is about. And the last verse of this song will tell you what Marxism is about. So here we go.
Bill Brown was just a working man like others of his kind. He lost his job and tramped the streets when work was hard to find. The landlord put him on the stand, the bankers kept his dough, and Bill heard everybody sing no matter where he'd go. It's a long way down to the soup line. It's a long way to go. It's a long way down to the soup line, and the soup is thin, I know. Goodbye to good old pork chops, farewell to beefsteak rare. Oh, it's a long, long way down to the soup line, but my soup is there. So Bill and 16 million more responded to the call to force the hours of labor down and thus make jobs for all. They gave the industries and won the 4-hour day, and organized a general strike so folks don't have to say it's a long way down to the soup line. It's a long, long way to go. It's a long way down to the soup line, and the soup is thin, I know. Goodbye to good old pork chops, farewell to beefsteak rare. Oh, it's a long, long way down to the soup line, but my soup is there. The workers own the factories now where jobs were once destroyed by big machines that fill the world with hungry unemployed. They all own homes, they're living well, they're happy, free and strong. But billionaires wear overalls and sing this little song. It's a long way down to the soup line. It's a long, long way to go. It's a long way down to the soup line. And the soup is thin, I know. Goodbye to good old pork chops. Farewell to beefsteak rare. Oh, it's a long, long way down to the soup line. But my soup is there. Yes, it's a long, long way down to the soup line. But my soup is there.
So there you go. The last verse, I'll just quickly recount the lyrics for you. Right. The workers own the factories now, and everyone's employed. No, was it the workers own the factories now where jobs were once destroyed by big machines that fill the world with hungry unemployed. We all own homes. We're living well. We're happy, free, and strong. But billionaires wear overalls and sing this little song. So the workers own the factories now where jobs were once destroyed by big machines that fill the world with hungry unemployed, meaning that the problem with capitalism is that under capitalism, technological progress creates poverty. That's the point, right? The workers own the factories now where jobs were once destroyed by big machines that fill the world with hungry unemployed. That's the point. Now you get it. Now you get it. Now you get it. And that is the point of Marxism. That is the point. And we need to create a situation where technology and human progress and wealth and prosperity are not at odds with each other. That's what we need to do. And that's the point, right? That's the point of Marxism. Rational public ownership of the means of production. So there you go. All right, folks. Names and locations. I will call you out as I see you. And I see the Nuplex sent his super chat in. I will write it down. I have to scroll up. It was about Rajneeshis or something like that. But I'm going to write it down. I'm going to write it down because I saw it in the chat from Nuplex, and he did get his free super chat. And you talk about the Rajneeshis. Were they utopians? All right. Can you talk about the RAG Nishis? Were they utopians? Question mark. All right. Very good. Very good. I'm going to have to Google that to make sure I know what it is. We got John Whitty in Houston. Welcome, John. We got Richmond, Virginia, Phil in Miami, Steve in Boston, Yada Yisrael in Chicago, Chris in Salt Lake City, Henry in Ontario, Jenny Lynn in Cincinnati, Marcos in Venezuela, Chester in England, Henry in Ontario. We got Jim in Harrisburg. He's Nuplex. Welcome, Jim. Tyler in Missouri, Christian in Bergen County, Mark Foster in Mission, Texas, Ferris from Bromley, Kent, England, Colin in Greensboro, Patch in Arizona, Daniel in the Bay Area, Tony in Tasmania. We got Zephyr in Eugene, Oregon. We got Soup down at the Soup Line in reference to our latest song. Moonlight, California, Jamie in St. Paul, Minnesota, Molly McGuire in Orange County, Bob Troy, New York, Mr. Wonder from Quantas, Isn't that a movie? Captain Quanus or something? Some dude from Florida. And he's an average American. He's some dude from Florida. Oh, boy. Names and locations, folks. Names and locations. I will call you out as I see you. Names and locations. Names and locations. All righty. Names and locations. Anybody else? Names and locations. Anyone else for me to call them out as I see them? Shallow Alto in the Housey. Right? That guy's from Palo Alto, California. That's his joke. So there you go. Hey there, Manhattan, New York City. Jaybird D. He's in Manhattan. Well, there you go. One of these days I'll be in Manhattan. You know, there you go. Your thoughts on AI? My unanswered super chat from the other day. I'll trust you, Briggy, because you are such a well-loved member of our community. My thoughts on AI. Wrote it down. All right. But we need super chats. We need real super chats now. We gave one door prize for guessing how Jimmy Buffett fit into the book. Kieran from San Diego. Shout out to Kieran from San Diego. So good to have you from Kieran from San Diego. The Teller, free thinker from Canada. Welcome, 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 welcome. All right. All right, folks. I think now I will start answering people's super chat. Oh, we got Rice from Adelaide, Australia. Mariah in North Carolina says, get rid of all bitterness and rage. It's hard sometimes, but yes, we will do our best. Absolutely. Absolutely. There we go. All right. Who will fill the void left by Tucker Carlson? I don't think anybody will, because the reason he was gotten rid of is because he was speaking off script. And now they're going to get rid of anyone who's speaking off script. I think that Tucker Carlson will continue to have a following, but it'll be online. I think that they've just basically argued that on mainstream TV, there will be nothing like Tucker Carlson. It's not permitted. I just think that that's the way things go. They've decided it's just not permitted. And the fact that AOC, the fact that AOC that she was so happy he was taken off the air, and there's no recognition of anything anti-war. So yeah, but Tucker is going to continue to be a factor. And now he's like a martyr for free speech. He's a martyr for anti-imperialism. He's going to continue to have a following, and I bet he'll get better. That's the other thing. I bet he's going to be even just with Trump, since Trump's been out of office, he's gotten even better. So there you go. Fox's stock is tanking. I'll tell you that much. All right. And this person wrote, the Matrix is a system. Our enemy is that system. These people are still part of the Matrix, and they're not ready to be unplugged. And then later they clarified in a super chat about what that was about. About Aldous Huxley, and we'll talk about Aldous Huxley later, but about The Matrix. Look, The Matrix was a really popular movie when I was like a kid. When I was like a young teenager, I think it was a really popular movie. If you watch The Matrix, it is very much putting forward the ideology of the anarchists that were protesting against globalization, the people protesting the World Trade Organization. It's not class struggle oriented. It's more like learn the truth, unplug from the brainwashing, the mystical mind control of the media, learn the truth. The people in the Matrix still have a very comfortable life, but it's an illusion. And it's basically arguing, that's kind of more of an anarchist fantasy, right? That we're all sheep and that we don't know the truth about how the world really works. The world is really an ugly, oppressive place, but we aren't aware of that. Take the blue pill, take the red pill. It's more of a middle class radicalism. That's kind of what it is. It's more of a choosing to learn the truth and stand for justice, or ignore it and continue to have a comfortable life in this evil system. Well, now that comfortable life isn't there. Used to be, there was a comfortable life in the middle class, and that there were some that were alienated from society and got interested in very radical ideas. It's kind of, that's what radicalism was. I talk about Gen X radicalism on here a lot, right? The movement to free Mumia Abu-Jamal, the ACT UP, Fight AIDS movement. That's a little bit earlier. That's like an 80s thing. That the left in the 90s was a very marginal thing, a marginal isolated thing. And it was very much take the red pill. It was very much like people that had a comfortable spot in society, learning different ideas. It wasn't the same as it is now, which is that now the economy is falling apart. Now the ruling class are fighting among each other. People are being brought into politics. It wasn't like that. What the Matrix is talking about is more like a very comfortable existence where most people are tuned out of politics. And there's some people who just kind of stumble upon the truth and decide to reject it or accept it. That's a very different reality. That's, when imperialism was riding high in the 90s after the fall of the Soviet Union. That's a totally different kind of situation. But it's still like the idea is that human beings are being exploited, right? They're being turned into fuel, basically. People don't know the truth. There's anti-capitalist elements to it, but it's still, the feeling is not that economic suffering will motivate class struggle. It's more about like learning the truth. It's about media manipulation, social conformity, people knowing the truth, not wanting to accept it. It's very much kind of and there's an element, you can see the degrowth stuff in it too, right? And this is why the degrowth stuff is so popular among certain sections of the left, because there's like a feeling that, it's this comfortable lifestyle provided by capitalism at the expense of the third world, the bribe, it's that kind of, the third worldist kind of stuff. That's a big part of it. All right, there we go. Is professional sports used against communists in any way? NBA, NFL, etc. Well, it used to be that professional sports was loaded with military recruitment, was loaded with patriotism and support our troops and military stuff. That used to be a really big part of professional sports. It's not so much anymore, right? Now, because of the Black Lives Matter awakening and because of the fact that professional sports is dominated by African-American folks in a lot of ways, in the United States at least, because of that, sports have taken a more of a left-wing character, right? Colin Kaepernick, there's many examples of this. Muhammad Ali, very famously, he became a member of the Nation of Islam. He turned against the Vietnam War. And there have been other athletes, that have taken progressive stances. But generally, sports generally had this kind of uber patriotic, uber military edge to them. That is kind of started to decline a little bit. The military does recruit at sports games a lot. You'll see military recruiters there just because the kind of people that are interested in athletics are the kind of people that would be good in the military, right? You want physically fit kind of people, kind of athletic people in the military. The games begin with the national anthem, usually. But then again, that's, I don't know how much of that is even, I don't know. It's kind of, I don't know. I will say this, there's a couple things that come to mind. You're asking, how are sports used against communism? There are little things. Like they constantly play up, like, what was it? The Olympics in the 80s, like where the American hockey team beat the Russian hockey team and they called it a miracle. And it was like, oh my God, the American team beat the communists or something. And like all the odds were stacked against them. That's a big thing. And there's a lot of anti-communist narratives they slip into sports. Right. There's a lot of that. Even now, they're going after the Russian players in the Olympics and in the international sports. They're targeting the Russian players, banning Russian players. It's really horrendous what they're doing to the Russian athletes, because they want to hurt Russia. They've targeted Russian athletes in international competitions. That's pretty awful. Sports, there's other examples that come to mind. There was an example that was in my mind earlier about sports being used against communism, and it has kind of escaped me. I can't remember it now. It has kind of slipped out of my mind. There was one that I was going to use, because every so often something will happen. That I can't remember what it was. Every so often, something will happen where I think that is an example of sports and communism kind of intersecting or something. And I cannot remember this one for the life of me. You know, let me just say this, right? One of the saddest things about boomer communist groups, I'll just say this, right? I will just throw this out there, right? Bob Avakian, the RCP guy, Sam Webb, the leader of the Communist Party USA for many years, Larry Holmes was the leader of the Workers' World Party. I would hear these old boomers in these various communist groups, and they would talk about their leader. Like Sam Webb was this kind of tall, heavy-set guy. He was tall, fat guy who talked like this. He had this accent. I do not know what part of the country he was from, but he spoke like this. I mean, Sam Webb, he went on the Glenn Beck show, and he had this accent, right? And he's now quit the Communist Party. He's just like a regular Democrat now. Sam Webb was leader of the Communist Party for many years. Bob Avakian's leader of the Revolutionary Communist Party. Larry Holmes is leader of the Workers' World Party. And I would hear these old communists, older communists, baby boomer communists, talk about their leader, their chairman. And it was the most cringe thing. They would talk about how normal their chairman is. And it was the saddest thing. It was really heartbreaking to listen to. They would sit there, and the RCP were the worst with this because they were really actively trying to build what they called a culture of appreciation, not a cult of personality, but a culture of appreciation around Bob Avakian. And they would sit there and they'd be like, Bob Avakian is so normal. He loves basketball and sports. He really likes doo-wop music from the 1950s. Oh, he's just so normal. He watches movies. And it's like, you listen to them say this, and they're just going on about how normal their leader is. And what they're saying is, being a communist in America makes you weird. And so they're like apologizing for that, right? They know that being a communist in America, especially Cold War America, being a communist in the America that they knew as boomers meant you were pretty out of the normal, out of the ordinary. And so they're kind of embarrassed. They're kind of ashamed of the fact that they're kind of out of the ordinary, abnormal. And so they're so proud that their leader is just so normal. He's like a normal guy. And the leader that they pick, Bob Avakian, Sam Webb, Larry Holmes, it's always like a chubby kind of guy who's like a dude bro kind of, right? Because I hung out with Larry Holmes on many occasions. Larry Holmes is a dude bro. You know, he likes to drink in bars. And I mean, I could tell you some stuff I'm not going to say on here about Larry Holmes. But anyway, Larry Holmes, first secretary of the Workers' World Party, he's a dude bro, right? Bob Avakian, I don't know what he's really like, but he presents himself as a dude bro. He likes his basketball, and he's kind of this heavy-set, short guy, Armenian heritage. And he's like, yeah, man, I'm Bob Avakian. You know, and Sam Webb, very tall, kind of heavy-set guy, you know, and he's like, I'm Sam Webb. And it's like these leaders, I realized this. I kind of studied these leaders of communist groups, and I realized that all of them, and it's a generational thing, because this isn't what people want now. The boomers were all kind of ashamed of being communists. And they wanted the fantasy that like, oh, I can be normal. And so they see Bob Avakian, they see Sam Webb, and they see Larry Holmes as like, oh, see, we're not weird for being communists. Bob Avakian loves basketball. We're not weird for being communists. Larry Holmes watches police shows. He loves cop shows, you know. We're not weird for being communists. Sam Webb is just a charming guy who makes jokes, and you could have a beer with him. You know, and it's like this fantasy that like, you know, look, if you're a communist in the United States of America, you're out of step, right? And that one thing I've always respected about the LaRouche people is that they saw this in the 1970s. They saw this in the 1970s, that was like what the Maoists, the communists, the ML groups, they all had this belief that what they were going to do is they were going to get jobs in factories. They were going to know the most about basketball and football, and they were, you know, baseball. They're going to be friends with their coworkers. They're going to be buddy-buddy. And the LaRouche people, one thing that they've pointed out is they've said, well, no, we don't want to dumb it down, right? We know we're out of the ordinary by getting all political and becoming political. We know we're out of the ordinary, but people should come to us for ideas. People should see us as people that have ideas, people that have analysis. We don't want to present ourselves as being completely normal. We want to present ourselves as being smart, being intellectual, right? And that's one thing about the LaRouche people that I can respect, right? And that the communist groups, it was always like, look how normal we are. We ain't normal, right? If you're an American, especially in the 70s and 80s, who gets into communism, you ain't normal. You just aren't normal. And that, but yeah, with Workers' World, with RCP, and with the Communist Party, they would always go on about how normal their chairman was. And he wasn't normal, right? I mean, but it was just like, oh, he drinks beer sometimes. He watches basketball sometimes. He goes to the movie. Like, they would just go on about how normal their leader was. It's really sad. Really, really sad. But, look, if you're getting into communism, you are not normal. Stalin, he said in his speech in memory of Lenin, he said, we communists are cut from a different cloth. We're from a special mold. We're not normal people, right? There's a reason they call it a vanguard party. Most people are not cut out for this. And that doesn't mean we think we're better than the masses of people. No, we recognize the masses are the real heroes. They're the makers of history. We're just the ones who are endowed with a certain understanding of the objective laws of history, right? And we choose to intervene in the process, but the masses are the real heroes. We don't look down on the masses. We don't think we're better than the masses. We're just different from the masses because we are more tuned in to the objective laws of history. Whereas the masses, in a lot of ways, they're the energy, but we're the ones who figure out where the energy comes from. And we try to direct things and nudge things and push things in a different way. But the masses of people, they ultimately are the real heroes. They're the ones who get things done. We are the ones that have the scientific knowledge of how history works. So yeah, that's kind of what comes to mind when you bring up professional sports and all of that. Was Napoleon III as bad as Marx made him out to be in 18th Brumaire? He did give workers the right to strike. Napoleon III, as I talk about in this book, did a lot more progressive things than that. He built railroads. He created national workshops, like factories that were nationalized by the government and set the standards that employers had to compete with. He created hospitals for poor people. He was a progressive Bonapartist. He wasn't like Hitler, right? He wasn't a degrowther. It wasn't fascism by any means. It was a more Rooseveltian progressive Bonapartism. However, it was an answer to Marxism. There was brutal crushing of Marxism at the same time. There was a genuine revolutionary socialist movement that he did crush, but he enacted a lot of dramatic progressive reforms. And in order to do that, he had to build up a mass movement. He had to suppress a lot of members of his own class. Chapter 2 of this book is all about the concept of Bonapartism. And I go into a lot of the history, because if you just read 18th Brumaire, like, what's a Brumaire, right? Like, even the name of it, right? It's not a pamphlet. That's the name, the 18th Brumaire. That's the day, the 18th of in the French Revolution. They created a new calendar after the French Revolution. It was 10 months instead of 12. One of the months was the month of Brumaire. And the 18th Brumaire, the 18th day of the Brumaire month, that's when the original Napoleon seized power. So Karl Marx called his pamphlet the 18th Brumaire of Louis Bonaparte, in order to be like the coup of the second Napoleon, his 18th Brumaire. And the reason that pamphlet is so hard to get through is it is full of references to stuff that is like, for example, like, he starts talking about gold bars in California. I had no idea what he was talking about. Well, I had to pull up Wikipedia and do the research. Louis Bonaparte, in order to make himself popular, he would raffle off gold bars of gold from California. And that's completely illegal in France, but he did it anyway. He was above the law. He flaunted bourgeois law. Well, you don't know that he did that. Marx is talking about gold bars and all this. Like, what is he talking about? You have to, in order to read that pamphlet, you have to understand the historical context. And Marx doesn't, he assumes you're there. The pamphlet that Marx wrote, the 18th Brumaire of Louis Bonaparte, is written with the understanding it was written for people at the time. It was handed out to French people who were living there trying to understand what was going on in their country. Right? So he doesn't take the time to explain to you everything. And it seems kind of incoherent. But the main thing is that it's a liberal capitalist society. The French Republic is collapsing into illiberalism, right? And that a military dictator is taking power in light of a capitalist crisis and continued uprisings by the working class. The liberal French Republic is collapsing into a military state. And the bourgeoisie, many members of the capitalist class, are being oppressed by other members of the capitalist class. That's what he's writing about, and that this is a process, and that Louis Bonaparte is there to try and preserve French capitalism, but he's doing it at the expense of many, and he's trying to present himself as riding above classes. And it's hard to get through. It's a very hard, difficult pamphlet to get through, but in the second chapter of my new book, I talk about it quite a bit. So there you go. There you go. Now, shout out to David Fox. David Fox wanted me to mention that April 28th, he wanted me to mention, this is David Fox. This is a really important thing. April 28th is International Workers' Memorial Day, which is the day that we commemorate workers who have died on the job through workplace illnesses or injuries. So shout out to David Fox. I did not know there was an International Workers' Memorial Day, but that is today. So shout out to you, David Fox, and thank you for making that aware, raising that awareness with our viewers and readers. All righty. Next question. Aldous Huxley. Will people come to love their oppression? I have read Brave New World. Brave New World is an interesting book. It's worth reading. It is an attack on modernity, right? And it's an attack on liberalism. And it's talking about how in the liberal world, it's about how modernity and the comfort of modern life, technology, drugs, mass media, all these things make our lives comfortable and they take the meaning out of life. Right? And he creates this fictional society where people are doped up on drugs the whole time, where people don't really think with any depth. They're kind of hypnotized. And based on that, life kind of loses its meaning. It's a rather conservative book. The hero, the main character, is a guy from an indigenous reservation. He's like out in the middle of nowhere, and he comes into civilization. And the world that he sees is this world without pain and without suffering. And it's also a world where people have kind of lost their meaning. In this fictional society, human beings are born in test tubes. They're like breeded in test tubes instead of being birthed. They worship the Model T Ford, Henry Ford, like Fordism, modern industry is the religion, and everyone's doped up on drugs all the time and doesn't think, clearly. And it's like a dystopia, and it's about how pain and suffering kind of gives life meaning. And as our lives get more and more comfortable, the spirituality and the spirituality of human beings kind of fades away, right? And that people kind of become stupider. So there you go. That's kind of the point. That's kind of the point of the book. I would recommend it, right? It is one angle for looking at liberalism. I don't know who that is. Balkan Odyssey guy. Yugo nostalgia among those nations. I'm open to it. The best way to reach me, send me an email, calebmaupin@gmail.com. It's Caleb, C-A-L-E-B, no spaces, periods, MAUPIN @gmail.com. Send me an email. That's the best way to reach me with inquiries like that. Did a great interview with a Chinese American social media person the other day. That was a lot of fun. I'm always looking to do different social media stuff. So yeah, I'm open to it. I'm absolutely open to it. So there you go. Rajneeshis. Is that the religious group? Is that what that was? Is that the followers? Let me Google it. The Rajneeshis. I want to make sure I talk about the right thing. The Rajneesh movement, right? Bhagwan Rajneesh. That was the whole thing. That's wild, wild country. Look, this is basically, the more you look into that, it looks to me like this is one of those kind of movements that was kind of propped up by the United States, Eastern mystical movements that was kind of propped up as an alternative to communism. When communism was rising in Asia, there's a quote that I always quote from Dulles, one of the Dulles brothers, I think Alan Dulles, where he said that, the religions of the East can be useful to fight communism. And if you look at the U.S. strategy in Asia, they promoted the Falun Gong, they promoted Tibetan Buddhism, etc. And it appears that that is, that is one of the groups that was being promoted, I think, covertly by the American government as an alternative to communism. It was a spiritual movement that was created. It emphasized free love and such, and they set up shop in Oregon, and then they fought with the locals, and yeah, it's a strange, complicated story, but look, there's a lot of that spiritual movements and Eastern mysticism, and a lot of that was promoted. That was part of the Congress for Cultural Freedom. The Hare Krishna movement, a lot of this stuff was promoted as an alternative to communism. They were seeing that, in a political crisis in the United States, many young Americans could become communists. And so they created an alternative movement, spiritual awakening that would, offer people a way to go, give them ideology, but not be communists. Nowadays, people, I'll just say this, you hear it's like Netflix is psyching everybody up. Everyone is on guard against cults and, oh my God, I'm going to join this group and it's going to brainwash me and all this stuff. And it's like, nowadays, like, people don't join groups anymore. People don't join groups, and the groups that exist are like desperate for people. They're falling apart. And the problem now is not that, a generation ago, yeah, people joined groups. Those groups were very authoritarian. And sometimes those groups could take on kind of a Lord of the Flies character where kids are acting, young people are acting all mature and punishing each other and, whatever. But now no one wants to join a group. Everyone just wants to sit at home on their computer. Everyone's so afraid of everyone else. They've stoked up everyone's paranoia to the point that nobody wants to join a group. Any group that comes along, everyone's on guard for it to be a cult or it to be an authoritarian thing. No one joins anything. Instead, we just sit on our computers making fun of other people. We sit on our computers. We sit at our homes being depressed and lonely, and it's kind of miserable, right? Now it takes it used to be, it was just common sense for people to join a group, right? People joined groups because that's what you did. They were in groups when they were kids. They were in the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts. They went to church or whatever. And so then they grew up, they started exploring different ideas, and then they joined another group. Now people don't join groups. They don't. And as a result, people are just kind of isolated, and they're doing drugs at home, and they're committing suicide. And then people do join groups, and one thing doesn't go their way, or one person gets mad at somebody else, and they, oh my God, I'm in a Netflix documentary. I'm a hero, and it's just the saddest thing. We don't have real organizations. And we need them. We need anti-war organizations. We need anti-imperialist organizations. We need a real movement. And there will come, this is what I keep telling people, there's going to be an event horizon. Things will get bad enough, I'm convinced. I hate to be pessimistic, but I mean, at this point, there's going to be an event horizon where things get bad enough that people are going to have to join groups out of necessity in order to survive. People are, right now, joining groups is kind of an intellectual thing, and people don't do it because they can just get on their computers. But it's going to get, there's going to be, in the Maoist terminology, they talk about strategic equilibrium. That's when the war goes from the countryside to the cities. We're going to reach a strategic equilibrium in the United States where people start joining groups out of economic necessity. The conditions are going to be so bad that people will have to join organizations out of necessity. We need to have an organization that people can join for when that happens. And we need to be set up, right, for that to happen. And, CPI, we need to get going as an organization and have enough of an organization together that when that strategic equilibrium hits, we can function and fill that void. Because if not, the ruling class will have a number of organizations in place to serve that purpose. And we need to be ready for when, yes, people join organizations. If you look around the world, revolutionary movements, people don't join them out of intellectual interest. You look at the big communist groups in India, the big communist groups, in African countries. People don't join them because they're interested in their ideas. They join them out of economic necessity. They are struggling. These are the groups that are leading them in struggles. We're not at that point yet in the United States, but we're getting there. We're probably going to be there in a couple of years, but we need to have a real organization for when that happens. So, CPI, we're trying to reorient right now about our recruitment and who we recruit and how. Right now, the people that we recruit CPI are you guys. And I love you guys. You guys are great. And the best and brightest of you have already joined our organization or are about to join us. But we need to find a way that people who would never go looking for these kind of ideas on YouTube, people that would never go looking for these kind of, stuff, how we can recruit them, right? We need people who would never go looking for ideas out of intellectual interest, but would instead be looking for a community to join or the support of a community. That's what we need. And that's going to be difficult. We're going to have to reorient recruitment. And we're having kind of a discussion. I mean, we need a culture of witnessing in CPI. We do very little witnessing in CPI. We argue with other communists on the internet, but we need a culture of witnessing to average people who would never have heard of us. We need people to be able to win over their coworkers to communism and to our organization, people to win over their classmates in school, right? We have to change kind of our organizational culture to have witnessing communism, to be part of it, and that's just an ongoing conversation that we're having, so we're figuring this out, but if we're going to be in place so that when we hit that strategic equilibrium and people start joining groups out of economic necessity, we have to have an organization set up that can fill that void. We don't have that. We're not going to be ready. And the ruling class will have their organizations and we'll just be run over. So, we need to be in a position that when we hit that equilibrium, we can build our group. And it's not easy. It is extremely difficult. So there you go. Thoughts on artificial intelligence? I mean, AI, artificial intelligence, more or less, artificial intelligence is just what I've talked about replacing human labor with machines. Now, almost anything can be done by a machine now. And that should be a good thing. In a rational society, that would be a great thing. But under our system, it leads to mass unemployment. Capitalism is an irrational system where abundance creates poverty and technological advancement creates poverty. And AI shows the need for socialism. And Nelson Peary makes that abundantly clear in his book, The Future is Up to Us. I mean, that the automation and the fact that anything can be done with a machine now, more than anything, absolutely necessitates the construction of a rationally planned economy and not the irrationality of the market. So there you go. All right. Thanks, guys. One of these nights, probably the next stream I'll do, I'll be on here with more of a script, but I ranted against the synthetic left. Don't forget to give Betsy a piece of your mind, right? We want them to just never forget the day they dissed our community, the way they dissed our community. We want them to never forget it. To just never forget. So if you've already sent one email, send another. We just want them to never forget how we see them, how despicable it is for them to accuse our whole organization of being sexual predators, the way they spoke about us, the way that they support the Democrats and shill for them, the way they've smeared our community. Send them another email. Just never let them forget it. And on that note, folks, I think we're going to end for tonight. A new upsurge in the struggle against U.S. imperialism is now emerging throughout the world. Ever since World War II, U.S. imperialism and its followers have been continuously launching wars of aggression. But the people of various countries have been continuously waging revolutionary wars to defeat their aggression. And while the danger of a new world war still exists, and the people of all countries must get prepared, revolution is the main trend in the world today. And while the danger of a new world war still exists, and the people of all countries must get prepared, revolution is the main trend in the world today. Good night, everybody. We need a government of action to fight for working families. We need a government of action to fight for working families. Have a good night. Thanks.